How's it going, everybody? It is Friday. We're going to talk about the beginnings, a first look for a DraftKings NBA lineup for this evening. So thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel. And let's see if we can get 300 likes on this video before lineups lock tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about a DraftKings lineup for this evening in NBA. I'm sorry, but there is no value right now. Okay, this is a first look lineup. For those of you guys who have looked at what I like to do with this video, who've been here before and are here once again, thank you for coming back. I want to identify 3 value plays that I like best on the evening. And then I want to take 2 studs that I want to plug in, guys that are 8K or above, the value plays maybe 5K and down, and then we'll fill in the rest as we get to those lineups, as those players as we go along. The problem as I sit right now at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're 6 hours before lock, there is absolutely no definable value at 4K or below on this slate. It is an extremely strange priced slate for a 10-game night. Usually there's some value that we know is going to be there. So we're completely dependent, and there's not like a ton of if-then statements. We're completely dependent on a situation kind of like the other night, when some extreme value opened up right before lock. Andre Drummond was out, and he was determined out about 5 minutes before lineups locked the other night. You see he plays, 32 minutes a game. He's in the last 3 games that he's played 36 minutes a game. That immediately opened up Boban Marjanovic in the starting lineup. Boban is a massive points per minute guy, and he was 3K. Absolutely smashed value. This is what I need to impress on you every single day of NBA daily fantasy, is that you need to have your if-then statements prepared. We talk about this pretty much every day, that we know some of the if-then statements, players that are, questionable for this evening, maybe in, maybe out. If that player's in, then fine. If that player's out, you need to know who's going to soak up those minutes and what that player does in those situations with that other player off the floor. How many fantasy points per minute does that guy get with that player off the floor? If he's priced as somebody who plays, Boban never really plays. If we look at his game logs here, 5, 14, 13, 14, 3, 4. Then last game, 22. He was 3K. If Boban plays 20 minutes, he's going to score 25 or more fantasy points. He ended that night with 32.75, one of the best fantasy points per minute players in the NBA. Now, granted, we didn't know Drummond was injured at all. He was not an if-then statement that we knew, so you have to know. It's an innate thing that you need to train yourself to know. When this guy is out, they announced immediately, Drummond out, Boban starting. You need to know Boban's playing 20 to 25 minutes in that game, and you need to know what he can do in those situations. So prepare yourself for that this evening, as we're not going to have very many if-then statements. We have a couple, We have a couple if-then statements for tonight. We know that Drummond may not play. We know that Lonzo Ball may or may not play. Somebody who hasn't played the last few games, and Taylor Ennis becomes a player. Ryan Hodge, thank you very much for the 4 months with the Twitch Prime sub, says Boban. Really don't like the Suns. Think Booker gets the Kawhi treatment. Yeah, he probably will. He's going to see a little bit of Kawhi tonight. Chandler is starting, maybe Chris. Yeah, there's a lot of guys on Phoenix that are possibilities, but there is risk there as well. So we know right off that if Drummond is not playing, and right now Drummond is questionable, if he plays, Boban completely off my radar. If he does not play, Boban becomes a guy that we're going to want. The problem, center is a spot where there's a ton of value this evening. It's a position where most of the value rests. And I'm talking about kind of high dollar value, right? Like Towns, Embiid, my top play of the day, who we'll get to in a little bit. Nikola Jokic seems underpriced and should beat value. Kristaps Porzingis. There's a ton of guys at the high end that I want to go after tonight. LaMarcus Aldridge should beat value. Dwight Howard looks fine. Marc Gasol, Al Horford.
Love your advice. Thank you.
Sooners, 6787. Thank you for getting back with the 2 months in a row. 1 more month away from unlocking that silver sub badge in the chat. So Boban is an if-then value for me right now. So we can put him in, but let's not. You know what? Let's do it just because he's there and there isn't much else. JJ Barea, Another value play that I kind of want to touch on here once again. Basically hitting for 27 to 39 fantasy points each of the last few games that he's played. Squares off against Chicago tonight. Chicago's been on a tear recently, but as I said, there's just no value. So we're going to have to lock in a lot of mid-range plays and hope that some value opens up as we get closer to lock. Playing in the mid-20s, more than a point a minute recently. I think he's point guard and shooting guard eligible, so if you need to move him around, gives you a little bit more flexibility, gives you 4 lineup spots you can plug him into instead of 3 if he only had single positional eligibility. Kind of is what it is. Is Boban able to guard a mobile Embiid? Detroit could start Moreland. They could. I don't disagree. And we could go some other route with him, but if Boban's going to play 20 minutes, he's going to reach value. At 4,600, tougher for him to reach value. He won't smash it like he did the other night. He needs to get 25, 26 points. But if he's going to play 22, 23 minutes, I think he can get there. If he plays 10, no. So it's something we're going to have to monitor as the day goes on. A couple other guys to look at. Al-Farouq Aminu. 4,700. Again, no extreme values tonight. This guy is somebody who's been playing a ton of minutes. It's not thrilling. It really isn't. Small forward, power forward eligible. We can plug him into the small forward spot. Gives us 7,000, almost 100 to spend with the rest of them. If Harrison is out, does Chalmers become a value play? Yes, but if Harrison is in, he doesn't. We can take a look at Chalmers. 3,600, he's an extreme kind of value guy. He is completely dependent to me on Harrison. If Harrison's in, I don't want him. If Harrison's out, then yeah, we're going to consider him. But again, the minutes are going to fluctuate. We're not always going to get 22 to 25 minutes out of him. We could get 13 or 15. He's somebody who's on the radar. This is an if-then statement that you have to monitor before lock tonight. And it's an uncomfortable one. It's just an uncomfortable day for value all around. Mid-range lineups are going to be all the rage. If you look at who the top players are on the board, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, Karl Anthony Towns, DeMar DeRozan, Jokic, and Embiid and Jokic both center eligible. If you're playing Boban, you can't play both of those guys. Center is where most of the value resides this evening. So if you can find one that's got center / power forward eligibility, and you can use your forward spot or your power forward spot to get to some of those guys, that's going to be an extremely popular way to go. So let's look at a couple of guys that we want at the high end. Number 1, Joel Embiid. I'm going to plug him in real quick. Gives us 6,300. Absolute monster. One of my favorite players to roster in daily fantasy pretty much all the time. Double waiting to happen. Gives you an ability to get some 3-pointers. He hit 6 against Portland the other, right before New Year's. That was amazing. Obviously, block potential. You get the double points for that. Steals, gets some assists. Well-rounded player. One of the most fun players to watch for me in the NBA. Not your traditional big man, but has some traditional big man moves. Piles up points. The highest correlated real life to fantasy asset that we have. And with his minutes going up to 35 minutes a game, he's scoring 45 to 50 fantasy points pretty much every single night, with the possibility for more upside. Now, the secondary player that we're going to want to go with, I hate it that it moves on from these things. Right here at power forward, Kawhi Leonard, once he gets up to 30 minutes, we talked about this for a few shows, right? When they were holding his minutes down and he wasn't really exploding, wasn't really doing the things that we wanted him to do, he was down here at 27. But I was on him every night because of this possible 49, 50-point explosion, and he's now been priced up to 7,600. I like Kawhi. I want to check things out. I think this is a game that obviously has some blowout risk. So not really a situation where I might want to invest in Kawhi. But similar price point. Kristaps Porzingis coming off of a few bad games. We know he's got 50-point potential. He's going to play big minutes, squaring off against Miami, who's given up points in bunches to bigs. Just gave up a huge night to Marjanovic the other night. Whiteside gets a lot of defensive rep because he gets a lot of block shots, but he's sloppy, gives up a lot of rebounds on the weak side, chases for too many blocks. I think the potential is there for Porzingis, even though they're playing smaller, playing slower. LaMarcus Aldridge at 8-2 as well. Another play that I'm interested in. Zinger still seems hurt. Could be. My problem is that we can't get Jokic in here. And there's one more value play that I wanted to talk about is Wes Matthews. 4,700, scoring a lot of points, getting consistent amount of shots. You know what you're getting out of him, right? But with his minutes up in the last 2 games at 38 and 36, somebody that I might want to consider. So because we don't know about Boban, I'm going to take Boban out. I'm going to plug in another Dallas Mav right there. And at center, Nikola Jokic, another one of my favorite centers to roster. Utah, definitely a team that we want to avoid with bigs when they've got the Stifle Tower in there. But with him hurt, it's a bit of a different situation. He posted 31 points against them the last time they played. People are going to look at this and probably fade him, but realize he played 26 minutes in that game. He has not been playing that recently with 41, 37, and 36 minutes. This was when they were still, he was still a little bit dinged. It was a blowout game. They gave him rest. I think this is a great spot to go back to Jokic. That gives me the 5 players that I want. We're going to need some value to open up. Jokic gives us a chance at a triple-double. Embiid gives us a chance at a double-double. We've got some uncomfortable value with Barea and Wes Matthews and Al-Farouq Aminu, hoping that something else opens up as the day goes on. There are plenty of power forwards and centers that you can play tonight. That is the most value-rich spot at the mid to high range. That's where you're going to want to go to. So pay attention. Have your if-then statements ready. Know where you want to go, and we will catch up to you later today with the NFL question and answer lineup builder show right here on twitch.tv. If you're still watching on YouTube, we will upload that later today. Please click the like button. Let's see if we can get 300 likes on this video. Best of luck to you tonight in your GPPs. And if I don't win one, I hope that one of you guys do. Bye.